recording. Okay, and the others will join us shortly, I'm sure. Um, Let me make sure that Dr. Tobias, I'm going to mute everybody, and then you come back and you can unmute yourself if. Okay, that way I can go. Okay, well, welcome to 605. The last part of this journey you started about a little over a year ago, and I just want to welcome you to our summer session. And I have worked with some of you, know some of you. I don't know all of you, but I am going to be your instructor this summer, Dr. Stedman, and I look forward to working with you. All of you should have received right much information from me so far, and I hope you've had time to look at the information and to get a feel for what this semester is going to look like. Dr. Tobias worked with some of you last semester in 603, and Dr. Tobias is going to be joining us this semester working with the same students as their intern, as their clinical coach this semester. And then Dr. Massengill is going to be joining us as well, and he will be working with the same group of students that he had last semester as well. And we will talk more about their role and what they will be doing, and give them an opportunity to say something just a little bit later on in the class. I am going to ask you, if you would, please. We're going to cover a lot of stuff tonight, and we probably will be online maybe a little bit longer than we normally will after tonight, but I just want to make sure that we've covered all bases tonight. Hold, unless it is an urgent question for clarity right then, hold all questions, write them down, and then I'm going to give an opportunity at the end to answer, for you to ask questions and answer questions of anything that we have not covered. I think I'll cover the majority of it if you'll just listen. However, if you do need to ask a question, Dr. Tobias and when Dr. Massengill joins, they're going to be watching out for the questions, the chats, and if they can respond to you, then fine. If not, then they're going to join in later on, and they'll ask me to respond to the questions. I just want to make sure that tonight that we have full clarity of what the next 10 weeks are going to look like for you. I will tell you, it's summer and you're completing 10 weeks. You've had 16 weeks in the past. You've got to do a lot of the same expectations, but you've got to do it in 10 weeks. So we've got a lot of work to do in a short period of time. And so my purpose tonight is to talk to you very openly and candidly, so that that you can know exactly what it is we expect of you, and so you can get started. I hope most of you have already gotten started on some of this work. And like I said, is a lot to do. So what I want to do is make sure that this is one of the classes, the C8 class. I just want to make sure that you have gone into everything that you see over here to the left. You need to make sure you click on every one of those areas, and we're going to click on some tonight and go, but make sure you understand everything. You can see the overview page. This is just where I welcome you to the class. This is your required textbooks. I hope that you have gotten your textbooks. If not, I hope that they are on their way, because there are required readings every week and assignments that you will have to have in order to be able to complete the assignments. So please make sure that you're taking care of that. I don't care about the Glickman and the Nordhaus book. If you can find used copies of them anywhere, by all means, save money if you can. However, the last one, the Strengths-Based Leadership book, it must be a new book. There is a CD in the back of the book, or where there's something in the back of the book, and it is if it's taken out, you will not be able to complete the assessment that you will need to complete with this book. So please make sure that when you get your Strength Space Leadership book, that it is a brand new book, because you will need to be able to have access to what is in the back of the book, something that will help you take your own assessment once you have completed the book. This is my contact information. This is my phone number. Feel free to call me if you need me. If for some reason I don't answer the phone, tell me who you are and leave your just say, and my number is, and just say I'm in your 605 class, and I'll call you back as soon as I can. Most of the time, I pick up on it. If I think it's a telemarketer or somebody like that, I may wait until I get a voicemail and then call you back. But you can email me as well. You can send me a text message. I don't care. I respond back quickly. And as much as they can, Dr. Tobias and Dr. Massengill both are working, but as much as they can, they will respond back to you in a timely manner as well, you know, with respect that they do work during the day, and, you know, they may have to do it at a time differently than I will be doing that. This is the weekly class information. We will use this recurring Zoom link, and it's over here on the left as well. But this is where you can click on this same link that will join classes every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. These are some very important dates that we'll talk about more later on, but just make sure that we put it there. We put it in more than one place because we simply want you to make sure that you, being your last semester, that you do get everything done in a timely manner and that you know what's expected of you. Make sure that you, even though you don't formally graduate with a cap and gown, you still have to apply for graduation. Please make sure that if you have not taken care of that, that you do go ahead and take care of that. On this page as well, you can see the course syllabus, the grading scale. You can keep up with exactly where you are with your grades throughout the semester. And the rest of it, I think, is just pretty much self-explained. If you have not done the enrollment verification activity in Blackboard, please go ahead and take care of that as soon as possible. This is simply my way, but it's the school's way. It's the registrar's way of knowing that you are indeed with us this semester. It doesn't take long, but please go in there and just complete that EVA as soon as possible, so that I have to send a report in after so many days that you're in the semester, and that validates that you are officially enrolled into the program. Over here to the left, you can keep up again. You know this because this is your third semester. You can keep up with your grades throughout the semester, and you know exactly where you are with grades. I can promise you this: when you turn your work in, there will be a quick turnaround with me. If you have not heard back from me within 24 hours at the most with an assignment, you need to send me an email. You need to call me or something, because there's something I didn't get it or whatever. But I give you quick turnaround on your work, usually much faster than that, but I will say 24 hours at the most. That's going to be very, very important this summer. Your weekly schedule, just want to point out, let me come over here and do this where I can see it better. This is scheduled out for the 10 weeks. It just basically tells you the topics that you will be reading about. The topics that you're reading about may not necessarily be what we always discuss, but it all will go together in your assignments and tie into your evidence work as well. We may not always discuss this, but you are still required to read it. And what I would expect as you are reading this material, when you are completing your assignments, I should see evidence that you are reading this professional literature, and you're looking at the resources that are being provided for you. I should see evidence of that in your writing. References made to Glickman when possible, or to Nordhaus when possible. Um, when you do your group activities, and there will be 4 of them this semester, and I'll talk about them in just a few minutes as well. When you are doing your, I call it the scholarly dialogue, conversations that you have, then as you are reading these materials, I should hear evidence of the reading in your dialogue as you're talking about the case studies, or whatever the project may be that you're working on. I should see evidences in your dialogue and references to this, and this also lets me know that you're doing your reading, and references to things that you've learned in Dr. Lamb's class last semester, or in your first semester, when you were developing your PLCs and getting started. As aspiring administrators, that is going to be very, very important that what you say, that your speech has a scholarly tone to it, and that you know how to present yourself in a professional way when you have to. So this is going to be a way of me acknowledging that as you are doing the work, and you're sending the Zoom links where it's being recorded. Please make sure that you know at this point, when you look at week 1, and the week 1 officially begins today. As you are looking at week 1, this that you see in the teal blue, the aqua blue, all of this should already be done. If for some reason any of this work is not done, the APSL, the APTEL, the OMA, and the SCIP, if any of this is not done, you need to let your clinical coach know immediately, so that they can help you with a plan to get that work caught up. I don't think it applies to anybody, but if for some reason it does, then let's take care of it. And again, I'll go over this in just a minute. You'll see under each week there is 1 assignment for each week. This is a graded assignment. The assignments, most of them are going to be based on the readings that you'll be doing from the textbooks, and then there are some case studies where you'll be working with your Zoom groups as well. And but there is an assignment for each of the 10 weeks that you will be in summer school. Over here to the far right, this tells you, if it's highlighted, that means that from your evidence work, which we'll talk about tonight, evidence 5 is due first, the CAP. This tells you that at the end of week 2, that I should see task 1. At the end of week 3, I should see task 2. At the end of week 4, I should see task 3. And at the end of week 5, I should see task 4. Actually, by the halfway mark, you must be completely through with the CAP. Now, I would encourage you, if you can get it done in 3 weeks, get it done in 3 weeks. I'm not going to hold you to this. Just don't go over. You can send it to me. You can send it to me. You can send me 2 evidences or 2 tasks in 1 week. I don't care. Once I go over some things tonight, and I think some of you may have started, but once I go over some things tonight, I think you're going to be able to follow the pattern, and I think you'll be able to fill in the blanks, and you'll be able to move forward with this very quickly. And I say all that to say this, that when we get to week 6, if you wait until week 6, that gives you only 3 weeks to get all of evidence 6 done, and that's a lot of work coming together at one time. We spread it out so that you've got something each week. I would encourage you, if at all possible, to try your best to have the CAP done, completed sealed and delivered by the end of week 4. Let's work hard at the most to try to do that. Um, even though that I told you that you don't have anything with the CAP due until the end of next week, I would encourage you, if you can, I would love to see task 1 of the CAP at least by the end of this week, if possible. And I think after we go over some things tonight, you're going to see where that's going to be doable. But this is your each week is laid out with the expectations for that week. Now the textbook readings, those are independent readings. You're expected to do that on your own. Your task stream schedule, and it's built into that, but Dr. Lamb did this, and this specifically lets you know when all the evidence work, the due dates for the evidence work. And this is carrying it out as far as we can carry it out for task 1 or task 2 or task 3. Again, if you can get it to me before then by all means, get it to me before then. You will see that we've got just 1 task due per week with the CAP, but when you get to the SOP and you see that we've combined it and we spread it out more. So you'll be turning in 3 tasks at one time, 3 tasks at another time when we get to our last evidence. But you'll find that you've got most of the work done, or a lot of the work done, when we get to the SOP. I'm not going to go into detail with that tonight because I don't want to confuse you with things. But when I get to the point that I talk about the SOP, I think you're going to see where all the puzzle pieces, you've got the puzzle pieces from a lot of the work that you've already done with the other evidences. In addition to that, these are your other task stream requirements. Your competency analysis in task stream, your competency folio, your School of Ed dispositions, and your internship logs. This is where Dr. Tobias and Dr. Massengill will work specifically with you to make sure that all of this is done. And I'm going to tell you, don't wait until the last minute. You're going to have to work on this along the way as well, simply because the due dates that we've set for you are important, because we have to get everything cleared at our level, because we have to prepare it. All of this has to be prepared to be submitted to DPI in Raleigh for you to get your certification. So that's why the dates are there, and that's why we will have to push you hard with that. So Dr. Tobias and Dr. Massengill, you're probably going to hear from them a lot. Don't get mad at them. Love them anyway, but they're going to push you hard because we know what we've got to have at the end of the day. Let me see. These are just intern materials that you would need, your required textbook. The Zoom teams, I need you to go in there and check and make sure. Now, I didn't change any of the teams based on where you started out in 601. However, I did have to add a couple of 3 people in places that came on board later on. But if there is an issue and I got something wrong with that, then individuals talk to me personally about that. However, if you were in a team that you were with from the very beginning of the program, and I added a new name to you this time, please reach out to that individual and include them, make them feel welcome into your team and to be a part of the team. And don't let them be out there on an island by themselves. I'm asking you to do the professional thing and work with them. But the teams, these are the teams that you'll be working with your group work this semester. The peer reviewing is no different than what you've done from the very beginning. However, there will only be 4 peer reviews this semester, and that will be with CAP Task 1, CAP Task 2, CAP Task 3, and CAP Task 4. You will only do 1 peer review from somebody in your that's in your group, and that's all you have to do this semester with the peer reviews. This is the CAP task and the prompts. It just basically tells you what you've got to do and guidelines for that. The CAP guidance, and I've submitted this already. Dr. Whitaker has done a PowerPoint that's placed in here, but I went through, and I hope that those of you that's looked at it, I hope all of you have. I took the CAP and I broke it down as simply as I knew how, to try to help you with everything. And I'm going to go, this is what I'm going to come back to, but this is an important document that will guide you and help you throughout the semester if you will refer to it. Let me okay, this is the discussion board for the CAP task and review. And notice, again, all you see are task 1, task 2, task 3, and task 4 of CAP, and then the final evidence. That's only because you only put it in there for your peers to look at it, and for me to comment on it for the CAP only. The PSYOP, we will not be doing that for the PSYOP, only for the CAP. And when you complete each task for the CAP, you go under CAP course assessments. It was named a little bit differently than what you had with Dr. Lamb last semester and with me or whomever the first semester. But this is where you go. Once you complete task 1, this is where you would put task 1 for me to grade. This goes to me in Blackboard to grade. Task 2, task 3, and task 4. This is where you would put your final evidence. And again, do not do that until I tell you that everything is ready after task 4. And what I'll do is I'll tell you then to submit it for my review with all 4 tasks together. And then when I say it's ready, then you can put it in here, for your final grade. And then I will tell you at that point to put it in, turn it in, and then to submit it to TaskStream for final evaluation. And this is where you would put each of your peer reviews for grade as well. And again, only 4 peer reviews this semester. Let's come back to assignments. Again, each week you have, this is the assignment for this week. And the assignment comes from the Northouse textbook. And it says, use a quotation from chapter 1 of Northouse's leadership to describe the difference between organizational leadership. Let me close that up. And management. Cite the text using APA style and briefly tell in your own words why you want to be a leader. Again, this is only going to me, but it's going to be for grade. I don't want a dissertation. I want a good, well-written professional paper. And when you complete it, you just simply go up to hit assignment 1, and it will allow you to download your document, Word document, and submit it there for the grade, and then it'll go to Blackboard for me to grade. And then at week 2, now you don't have to wait each week to do these assignments. If you want to go ahead and get assignments done in advance, then I don't care. If once you put them in there, I will grade them. But I do need to at least see whatever is due for that week turned in that week. And the assignments will need to be in my Blackboard by Sunday night, I would say at 9 p.m. And you will have your grades either before when you get up the next morning, because I probably will grade them before I go to bed that night, or no later than early morning on Monday when you turn your assignments in. Assignment number 2, again, this goes back to one of your textbooks, the Glickman textbook. Assignment 3, these are the case studies. You have 3 case studies that you will be doing. You'll be working with your Zoom teams with the case studies. You read the scenario yourself. You answer these questions, whatever questions there are with it yourself. And then your team will decide, you decide who's going to be the Zoom master, just like you've done in the past. Who's going to be the Zoom master? They will set up a Zoom session. Then you will come together and you will do a scholarly discussion with reference to the scenario that you've read and that you've researched. I would encourage you. In fact, I went back and read all of these scenarios today. Again, I would encourage you to reflect back on what you learned in 601, reflect back a lot of what you learned in 603 under Dr. Lamb last semester, because a lot of this deals with what does the law say I can do? What does policy dictate that I can do? So I hope that in the work that you submit for this, and then in your dialogue with your colleagues when you do your Zoom sessions, I hope that what we can see is referencing things that you have learned in your previous classes as well. And again, I'm not going to go through each of these assignments. You can see them. Again, there's one for each week. This assignment 8 is the biggie. I call it your big project. This is week 8, and this is based on the strengths-based textbook. I would encourage you to begin reading the book early. Space yourself out with the work that you will be doing with this as well, because you will be coming together as a team. We will spend an entire class with assignment number 8. It's a very, very important document as you reflect and you find out more about yourself as a leader. Assignment 9 is another case study. And then week 10, our last week, Dr. Lamb's going to join us on that day, and he's going to be spending basically the entire session with professional interviewing techniques as we get you ready for preparing to become an administrator if you're not already an administrator. Dr. Tobias, are you there? I don't hear her. Okay. One more quick thing. Under, let's say, class session 1, this is class session 1. I may not refer to this, but always know that you can go to class session 1, and under class session 1 or class session 2, whatever it is, you're going to find lots of materials, lots of resources. And this is where you can find extra help. Some of this stuff may help you with some of the work that you're doing. I will build this as we go along. For instance, let me go to class session 4 and I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I just did this last night. Class session 4, you're going to be doing an assignment from one of the textbooks called the Johari window. I found a lot of resources, and I have included them under week 4 when you're doing that will help you in a lot of ways understand what the Johari window is, and some specific things about it. This is a good video that explains it. So as you read it and you get ready to do the work for the Johari window, these are some resources, and I'll do that throughout the semester as I find things. I will just put it under that week so that you'll have some extra stuff. And if you find something that you think is good that you would like to share with everybody, send it to me. And if it's something that I think will work, then I'll be glad to put it under that week, for everybody to be able to use as well. Whenever we complete a class, I will record the class. I will upload it into a YouTube video, and I will put it under, like today's class, when it's all over with. I will email it to you. But I will also put it under class session 1, so that you can always go back and you can refer to it. And I'll try to label it so that if there is something specific sometime, it'll have a title so that you'll be able to quickly identify, well, it was under week 1 that we did this, or week 2 that we did that, so that it'll help you better with finding whatever it is that you need to find. With that in mind, before I go into our evidence work for the CAP, does anybody have a question at this time? And if you do, it's okay to unmute yourself and to ask it before we move forward. Everybody good at this time?
Dr. Stedman, this is Geraldine Murray.
Hey, Geraldine.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you too. I'm happy to have you this term.
Thank
I did have a question about the document you said you put together to help us better understand the CAP.
Uh-huh.
I had my back turned for a moment. I'm cooking dinner, so I wondered if you could show us that once again.
Okay, I'm going to bring that up in just a few minutes, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I sent it to you as well in some of the email, but it's over here under CAP guidance. When you click on CAP guidance, it's the CAP helpful hints document with my name beside it. But I'm going to bring it up in just a few minutes as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Stedman.
Okay, you're welcome, Geraldine. Any other questions before we move forward? Okay. Well, with that in mind, I'm going to let me find my. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's look at this first of all. And I know that your 603 instructor, they went over some of this towards the end of the semester, but I don't want to take for granted that, I don't want to take for granted anything, that I'm going to go over it just as if. I'm going to just show you this. This is the CAP Task 1, it goes to Task 4. It tells you the prompts, exactly what you've got to do. However, I've embedded all of this in the document that I'm going to refer back to. What I want to do, though, is to point out at the end of this document, this is what I want to point out. Everything that we've done, or everything that we lay out, is always at a point that if you do exactly what you're supposed to do, you should be able to be at least proficient, and you know that you have to be proficient to be able to pass. However, I don't even like to look at that. I like to look at the last column. My expectations are always going to be that you will be accomplished. When you send work to me, if I don't think that it's accomplished the first time, I'm going to send it back to you. I'm going to say, I need for you to go back, and I need for you to reconsider the following. Make sure that you look at this column for each of the tasks, and make sure that you do your own checklist. When it tells you that you've got to do this and this and this, that means that when the evaluator looks at your work, this is what they're looking at. They're looking at this column to see that you've done all that. And if you miss one thing out of this column, guess where it takes you back to? It takes you back over here to proficient, because you didn't do everything to be accomplished. So make sure that you look at this, and that you do your own checklist as you're going through things, especially with the CAP, but especially when we get to the SOB. That's going to be very, very important, because the SOB is so big and so comprehensive. And again, excuse me, we'll talk about that more, more later on. What I do want to refer to at this point, though, is the document that, let me find it. The document that I created, what I did, I took Evidence 5, the Cultural Advocacy Action Plan, and you're dealing with exactly what it says, the culture of the school. you know, and we deal with the culture of the school. We know that if you can be in the same county, the same district, and you can go to 5 different schools, and guess what? The culture is probably going to be different in a lot of ways in all 5 schools. What is the you're looking at, and you're measuring what is the culture at the school where you work. You're going to do a lot of research, and then once you determine what the culture is based on your research, and once you have done a study of the culture, then ultimately, like you've done so many times already, you're going to do an action plan. And the action plan is going to be so that you can improve the culture of the school where you work. Now, this is important. For the CAP, you are going to be completing 3 analyses. In task 1, you will be conducting a needs assessment. In task 2, you're going to be doing the school environmental analysis. And in task 3, you're going to be doing a cultural competence assessment. We're going to talk about that more in just a minute. But I just want you to know you're doing 3 analyses as you are completing this action plan. For candidates in North Carolina, you will include data related to the 5 areas that the North Carolina State Board of Education have identified to measure for the most recent teacher working conditions survey results. These are the 5 areas: empowerment, leadership, facilities, resources, and time. Do not, and that's why I have it highlighted, do not deviate from these 5 areas. These 5 areas must flow consistently throughout your work with the CAP. Now, you might say, well, Dr. Stedman, I want to talk about so-and-so, and I want to talk about so-and-so. Well, you can do that if you've got the time, but you must include all 5 of these are the areas that we will be looking for, okay? Now, I've included in here the link for the North Carolina Teacher Working Conditions Survey results. Now, when you go there, it's going to say it's encrypted, and it's going to you have to maneuver your way through that. I'm going to pull this up. Let me see. Where did I put that? Here it is. I've already pulled that up. And what you see when you pull that up in South Carolina, this is important. You have access to this as well, because when you look at this, this will help you understand when you are trying to find whatever it is that you need from South Carolina, exactly what you need to mirror based on what North Carolina is expecting. And I'll talk about that more in just a minute. But let's say, for instance, okay, Jeanette, you're from Johnston County, right? Okay, I'm going to just pull up Johnston County. Okay, when you hit Johnston County Public Schools, that's Jackson County, Johnston County Public Schools. It lists all of the schools in Johnston County. Okay, and I've actually had a student at Archer Lodge Middle. I've had several students at these schools. But these are the schools, and you can go to your school. You find your school. And let's just say that it's Archer Lodge Middle. You see these 3 icons right here. Okay, when you click on that icon, you see what it says. It says North Carolina 18 site detailed. That means that it was the teacher working conditions survey in 2018, and this is a detailed detailed information about that school. These are all the results for that school, detailed, and you can see it talks about time. It has the questions. You can see here it has all the results based on the responses at that school. This is a detailed report. It goes all the way through all time. Everything that you need is found. You just keep scrolling down, and it responds to every one of those areas that you're going to have to do research on. Let's go back. The middle one. Let's say that, well, this is, if it's Martin County Schools, the middle one is North Carolina 18, and it's a summary of it. So when you go to the middle one, I lost my place. It doesn't matter. Okay, we'll go to Banks Elementary. The middle one is a summary. It gives you the same areas, time, resources, et cetera, but it doesn't give it to you in as broad a detail. The other one is very comprehensive. This summarizes it more. The middle one is the one that I recommend that you use for your data purposes. Now, what can I do with this? You can use the same info. You can, when you're showing your visual, the visual representation of what you're talking about, all you've got to do is to copy and paste the results. The results are already there for your school as you're doing the analysis of things. The questions are already there. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go back, and when you are having to do your own surveys, and we'll talk about that in a second too, when you're doing your own surveys, use the same questions that are there. You just don't have to be as detailed and comprehensive as it was when the survey was done in 2018. But go to the middle section. The middle icon is highly recommended for the reports that you will be doing. And when you go to the last one, it's a summary comparison where they're comparing the schools. If you're in Johnson County, then it compares all the schools, all the elementary schools in Johnson County, or all the schools in Johnson County. It looks at the county, and it will compare them to the state, and it will compare them to the district, and whatever. You can get a lot of good information. I'm not telling you you can't pull information from these areas, but I'm just telling you the middle one gives you the best information for what you're going to need. That resource is built in there for you to use in South Carolina. You can use it as well to help you identify, well, this is what North Carolina is expecting, so this is where I can find it in South Carolina. I've explained again what I just talked about. When you look at column 1, what you see, column 2, what you see, and column 3, what you see as well. This should help you tremendously. If you're a charter school in North Carolina, you should have the same information, because charter schools are required to do the teacher working conditions survey as well, I think. Now, if you're from South Carolina, you're a private school, etc., you'll be responsible for finding a data source that will provide you with the same information. And as I've already said, it would be wise to look at North Carolina in order to find exactly what it is you're looking for. But with South Carolina, as you have already figured, you go to your advanced ed studies now. This is what it's called now, but you can still look under advanced ed and it'll take you to either one of these areas. That's where you're going to get most of the information that you need, because advanced ed emulates or mirrors very much what the teacher working conditions survey does. And some of that information can be found in the South Carolina, that comprehensive, I think it's Elliott, the evaluation system. I think you can get a lot of the information from that as well. But that brings us to task 1, the first of the analyses. Task 1 is the needs assessment. This is what you are expected to do. Now, you do not have a template for the CAP. However, in your resources, Dr. Lamb has graciously put in a North Carolina example of the CAP, and he has put in a South Carolina example of the CAP. So you've got another student's work to show you basically the format, and I would follow that format. I wouldn't change it a whole lot, because that was approved and that student got through. But that is in your Blackboard, so you've got examples in there of of student work that has already been completed. But you're to complete an analysis of your school's climate for each of the 5 areas that we've talked about: empowerment, leadership, facilities, resources, and time. And this will include narrative work and graphic information as well. Okay, I just showed you where you can go find that, didn't I? Okay, what I showed you from the report, that's where you can go find that information. And you do an analysis of it, you study it. What does it say about your school? Prompt number 2, that's all you do in prompt number 1. You talk about those 5 areas. Prompt number 2, you are to complete a needs assessment based on the results of the data you collected from prompt 1. When you look at prompt 1, this is what is actually there. This is where the nuts and bolts of things. This is what I found. Now, once you look at this is what it looks like. Now, based on what is there, I'm going to complete a needs assessment based on those results. The needs assessment must include, and it tells you, I've bulleted the areas. First of all, you're going to talk about the background description and say, what does your school look like? You've talked about that already. You don't have to reinvent the wheel there. Go back and pull information from what you've already done and add to it if you need to enhance it any. A clear statement of the purpose of the needs assessment. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Just talk about it. Who is going to help me in this? Now, this would be the team that you pull together. And I know that things are a little bit different now, that you're not working at the schools, but you do have Zoom access. You can set up your own Zoom. You'll be doing a lot of this work on your own, but you do need to show where you are involving a team. Set up your own Zoom and work with your team that way if you have to. If you are meeting at your school site and somebody can meet and you can meet with them there, then by all means continue doing that. We don't know what the next few weeks are going to look like with everything, but you can continue doing things virtually as you have been doing them based on working with your team. Then once you've done all of that, you're going to do an analysis of your findings. You've done it all up there. You've talked about them individually. Now you're going to do an analysis of those findings. Some of the information, it may seem redundant. It probably will be, but just say it again if you have to. And then after you've done all that, these are the findings: a set of recommendations that identifies strategies that will help lead the school to a safer, more culturally diverse environment for teaching and learning. Again, this helps you as you're moving forward to complete your action plan. There's another link there that it explains more about what a needs assessment looks like and some of the terminology there. This is a good link to follow, and you don't have to go through the whole thing, but the first part of this, it talks about what a needs assessment is and some of the components of a needs assessment. So I put that there just for you to have as a help aid for you. And then we go to task 2. Task 2 is the school environmental analysis. That's the second of the analysis that you're going to be doing. The prompt is, and you only have one prompt there, the candidate is to use quantitative data instruments, and these are the real numbers and actual results. You saw them. You saw those results when I showed you those 3 columns. You saw the results of your school. This is what it's referring to. Actually, what the 2018 results, what did they look like? The candidate is to use that data to help understand staff perceptions of the school environment. When you go to the link, and I just said that is the quantitative data. In addition to using existing data and information, you're also going to be responsible for engaging in qualitative research. This will be done through the following, and in addition to any other methods that you can think of. Okay? You've got to do some surveys. Now, let's say, for instance, that in 2018 that You looked at the results. Okay, for those 5 areas. Now, as you are, let's say empowerment was one of, or leadership. Let's talk about leadership. Leadership, maybe when in 2018, maybe your principal is no longer there. The principal that was there in 2018 is not there in 2020. So if the results, what would the results look like based on sending out 5 or 6 questions based on who the new administrator is? Would those results look differently now than what they did in 2018? Using some of the same questions. Again, don't go back and reinvent the wheel, but you would do either using SurveyMonkey, Google Docs, whatever you can do. You try to get an audience of teachers from your school to respond back to you electronically, and you get your results that way. When you say, how many do I send out? Send out what you can. How many do I have to get back? Get back what you can. Let's say, for instance, you've got 25 people at your school and you get back only 10. Well, then guess what? You work with the 10 that you got back, okay? That will be the results that you get back. But make sure that you've got enough. I would limit the number of questions that I used. I would pick out, the most important ones, the ones that stood out the most, and that's how I would set up my survey. You don't want this to be a cumbersome activity for your willing participants. And again, in light of our current situation, you can form a focus group and set up a Zoom session for the interview or the discussion. You can conduct one-on-one interviews via Zoom over the telephone. You can call somebody and just talk to them, and then, that's a form of qualitative research. You can, again, the focus group is really good. Set up a Zoom session and ask 3 or 4 people if they would join you in a Zoom session, and just have your questions ready and talk to them about, whatever the questions are, what area that you're researching. But that will be your qualitative research. Candidates must demonstrate how the qualitative data collected through the survey's observations, and this can be based on your observation. What I meant there is, when the last time you were at school, I think was when? March 13th? Wasn't that the last day? Okay, just think back to the beginning of the year. If you were there all year long, there's things that you just know about your school. If you've been there, you just know things about your school. This part right here allows you in your narrative work just to talk about, when it comes to the culture of the school, you can talk about things that you know for a fact. Okay? Based on your observation, you don't have an opportunity to observe in the school now because you're not there. But go back and reflect on when you were there. And how many times have you said, "Ooh, I wish we could change this. Ooh, I wish this was different." Or you saw something and you raised your eyes a little bit and you said, I don't know if this is a good practice or not. Or, wow, I really like the way the school is doing this. This is your opportunity to talk about what you know. It's because you've been there. And again, please remember, accomplished work for the CAT will interpret raw data collected in the school and will graphically present the data within the context of the narrative in a manner that informs beyond existing quantitative data. I showed you what the results were. It's there. Your job is to take it to the next level. We know what's there. What are we going to do about it? That makes it accomplished work, when you can take it from what I've shown you to take it to this next level. That's what I'm looking for as you're doing that. Okay, I'm not going to go through task 3 and 4 because I think I have given you a lot to think about at this point. We'll pick up next week, but at this point, let me stop sharing the screen and we're going to come together like this. Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to ask me questions now that you may have based on what we've talked about up to this point for task 1, 2. I think that the activities that you've got to do, they're self-explained. I don't think I need to go over a lot of that. You're graduate level students already. You know what to do. So if you have anything, if there's a question about any of that, you can talk to me privately. You can call me, you can text me, whatever, and we'll talk about that. Let's talk about your evidence work. Are there any questions about what the expectations are at this point for task 1 and task 2 of the CAP? Does the document, the way I've laid it out, does that document help you? Did that help? Because I just need to know. What about taking you to the actual site? Is that going to help you? South Carolina people, do you know where to go and find what you need to find? Somebody from South Carolina answer me. Open up and answer me.
I had to ask my guidance counselor. She was the only one that had access to our survey.
Okay.
Our principal didn't even have it, so she was able to give me the survey results for the last class. So I was just going to use that.
Okay, and where do you work, Cindy?
I'm in Blacksburg, South Carolina.
You're in South Carolina, okay.
Yes.
And I know that it's there, South Carolina people, because we have gone through a lot of students over the last several years and they were able to get it. So don't let anybody tell you you can't get it because it is there, okay? Does everybody know where you're supposed to, do you know what you need to do for this week? Is everything clear? You know how to get started. Okay, Dr. Tobias.
Yes, sir. You have a question in the chat about the assignments, or do you when there's
Okay. Remember your weekly assignments. Week 1 assignment that is due by Sunday night at 9 o'clock. But now your task stream assignments, the evidence work. Remember, it has that schedule too, and the first evidence work is due by the end of week 2. Remember, I said try to not stick to that schedule and get to me sooner if you can. If you'll go in the Blackboard, again, go back to the Blackboard. Let me do this real fast. I don't take anything for granted. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Okay. If you go back in the Blackboard, look to the left. This is your weekly schedule. And it shows you, everything that's due week by week. If you go to your task stream schedule, this is the one that shows you when all of your task stream work is due. The due dates for that for your task stream work, your evidence work. Like CAP 1 and CAP 2 that I've just talked about, by June the 7th, I should have all of task 1 and task 2 completed by June 7th. My hopes are that by June 7th, that most of you will already be turning in task 3, and some of you probably task 4 for me to look at as well. But these are the drop dead dates for things. Did that answer that, Dr. Tobias? Okay, Dr. Tobias, can come back online with us. Okay. Unmute yourself, Dr. Tobias. Okay, do you have any comments that you would like to make to the students based on what we talked about concerning their task stream work that needs to go to you and to Dr. Massengill?
Yes, just those that haven't turned their task stream. I had task stream issues earlier where I wasn't seeing anything. I think they're resolved now, so I try to go in frequently. Please feel free to email me if you see that I'm behind. I try not to be behind in things, but as Dr. Sedman said, we also have jobs, even though we are semi at home. But I do try to be on point with getting things in, but please go ahead and not wait till the last minute to do them, because then that puts a lot of burden on us to try to turn them around quickly.
Right. And everybody, you got my email indicating that Dr. Lamb is doing a town hall next Monday. Did everybody get that email? Please join in. He will probably reiterate some of what we've talked about today, but that's okay. You need to hear it more than one time. But it's very, very important. He'll talk about, you know, where you are with things and some things specifically because you're in 605 and it's your last semester that you need to know. Again, if
Dr.
yes,
Dr. Stedman,
yes,
there's a question in the chat, which I think the concern is worth bringing up. So
Okay.
Can I unmute? It'll probably be
yeah.
just
Go
easier.
ahead, Shawana.
Hi, good evening.
Hey, Shawana.
I know my district is just rolling out the closeout process. What my teachers are probably going to be on the edge. I'm really anxious about this survey. If I don't get a lot of feedback, and I just ask a couple of my friends, please do this, is maybe like 3 or 5 okay? I mean, because
Yes.
we're getting back devices. They're getting ready to start working evenings.
Yes.
Okay.
Use common sense and just do the best you can, Shawana.
Okay. I don't want to push anybody over the edge.
I do understand that. I understand we're dealing with a very precarious situation too. So, you know, do the best you can with all this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, other questions? Please make sure that you join. I'll send another reminder out about the town hall on Monday, but please join if you can. And again, if you have questions between now and next Tuesday, do not wait until next Tuesday. Reach out to me when you need it. Mary, you know, I'll call you back on her. Mary remembers me from first semester. Cassandra, you know I'll go on her. I've talked to a lot of you. But anyway, I look forward to working with you this semester, and you're going to do well. I'm so proud of you already. And I look forward to being a part of bringing this new entry to your life to closure. Dr. Mateo, did you join us? Yes, I've been able to join us tonight. Okay. I will be sending out the video of this. You can refer back to it later on. I'll send it. You'll get it in the next. No problem. You'll get it within the next couple of hours. Okay. Well, good night, everybody, and I will see you on Monday with Dr. Lamb and back in class on Tuesday.
Bye, good night.
Good night.